Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Roman RBC of Pro Sports Analysis with my top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL. Number 27, Brandon Weeden, quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. Now, Brandon Weeden, I watched this guy throughout college at Oklahoma State. Game in, game out. He showed so many great signs. I mean, he was, 28 years old. He's still a little old for playing college football, but he was looking great. He's looking outstanding, and he came to the draft and got drafted 22nd overall in the first round in the 2012 draft, right behind Trent Richardson, who they grabbed with the third pick. Now, a lot of people didn't like this pick. A lot of people thought, Brandon Weeden, he's old, he's not ready, he should be in his prime right now. But who cares, It doesn't really matter. Who cares about age? Some players put up great numbers at an older age. Look at Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. Those quarterbacks are 37, 36 years old, 38 years old, putting up numbers like they're 25. I mean, they're great, they're outstanding players, but he is a little old, for coming into the NFL draft. You should be entering the draft right around 22 years old, but let's forget about that. He's great. He's only 29. I'm really excited to see him play this season. Although he is competing with Jason Campbell for the starting job in Cleveland, I believe he will win the people over. I believe he's the fan favorite. I believe he's the organization's favorite. They got rid of Colt McCoy, so he's out of the picture. So it's between Brandon Weeden and Jason Campbell. And who will come out on top in the end will more than likely be Brandon Weeden. Brandon Weeden last season, he threw 14 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, which is unacceptable. You should come in, you should throw 20 plus touchdowns, maybe 15 plus touchdowns, and about 12 interceptions or less. That's a rookie for a rookie. Now, if you're a little older, like a Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Tony Romo, you should be 40 touchdowns or 35 plus touchdowns with the interception rate below 10, 15. Now, he also passed for 3,385 yards, which is pretty good. I'm not going to lie, for the receiving core they had. They only had Mohamed Massaquoi, they had Josh Cribbs, Josh Gordon, who was out a couple games, and he had a 72.6 passer rating. Now, that's not too bad. It's not bad at all, really. I mean, if you have a passer rating below 60, that's pretty bad. But 72.6 is a great passer rating for a rookie quarterback. You look at all the other rookie quarterbacks like Russell Wilson, RG3, and Andrew Luck. These guys, they were going to have a great passer rating. They were surrounded by good players. Now, Brandon Weeden came in with a kind of injured Trent Richardson, who eventually ended up staying healthy and being able to play most of the games. But he didn't really have the receiving core. He didn't have an offensive line. He got sacked 28 times last year due to the offensive line, which is unacceptable. Although Brandon Weeden should get the ball out quicker, throw the ball away if he knows he's under pressure, unless it's a third down. You might have to force something on a third down, to get that first down to keep the drive going. But Brandon Weeden, he had a tough time with that offensive line. The offensive line was just crushing him. And, it's 28 times. We've seen it time and time again. Aaron Rodgers has sacked 40 plus times, and he still passes for nearly 5,000, throws up great stats. But that's because he has an arm. And Brandon Weeden, that's just what he's missing. He has an under-average arm. I'm not trying to take anything away from the guy. He's great. I liked him. I loved him in Oklahoma State. Like I said, I watched him game in, game out, off camera, whenever I could. I followed him. Not followed him literally, but he was one of my favorite quarterbacks coming into the league. I was excited for him to play. Him and Tannehill, they were underrated. They didn't, weren't going to get as much, light shown on them like Andrew Luck and RG3 before Russell Wilson and Colin Kaepernick came into the picture once it got right around mid-season. But that's what Brandon Weeden's lacking. He's lacking an arm. His vision needs to be a little bit better. You can't throw 17 interceptions. You need to throw more touchdowns and interceptions at least. Or maybe the same amount of touchdowns to interceptions. But I think Brandon Weeden will be good this year. He's got Josh Gordon, who's only suspended for the first 2 games, who could be, if Josh Gordon violates another league policy rule, drug abuse policy, then Josh Gordon's gone for the entire season, for one whole season, and he's missing out. Josh Gordon emerged as one of the fastest receivers. He was in the supplemental draft, and the Browns got him, and he ended up showing what he can do. He's fast, he's strong, he's got great vertical reach. And then they also brought in Devon Best from Miami. Devon Best is a very fast receiver, very underrated. No one really looked at him. He can be played, used as a slot receiver, and can really be used to, great potential. He's fast. He doesn't really have the best hands. He's dropped a couple, footballs in his time in Miami. I pick him up for fantasy here and there. I think he can have some fantasy value in Cleveland if Josh Gordon's getting covered all the time and Devon Best, is the main guy for the first 2 weeks before Josh Gordon comes back from suspension. But Trent Richardson has to stay healthy. Brandon Weeden to give him the screen passes to go upfield for maybe 10 to 15 yards. That's just what they're missing out on, and they just have to stay healthy. You have to stay away from those suspensions, and the offensive line has to step up. They have to. If Brandon Weeden throws, maybe 10 interceptions before he gets 5 touchdowns, you're gonna have to bring in Jason Campbell. Jason Campbell had a lot of good games in Chicago. He had good games in Washington. He had a couple of good games with the Raiders. So, he's been all over the place, and maybe this is Jason Campbell's place. Maybe Jason Campbell takes over the starting role, but I don't think that will happen. I think they want to build around Brandon Weeden unless, they wait for the draft. They just, put him in the third string. Maybe they want to get one of the worst records, grab Johnny Manziel out of the draft, maybe Taj Boyd out of the draft from Clemson. But we'll see. I think Brandon Weeden will be the starting guy. Offensive line has to step up. The receiving corps definitely has to step up. They're young. They're unexperienced, really. Josh Gordon's coming into his second year. Devon Best, he's getting used to the new system with Rob Chudzinski as the new head coach, the former offensive coordinator of Carolina. Rob Chudzinski, I didn't really get to talk about him, but I'll get right into it real quick. Rob Chudzinski, we all saw what he did with Cam Newton over there in Carolina. Cam Newton emerged as one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, no doubt about that. Cam Newton's fast, he's big, he's strong. Brandon Weeden, he's a little undersized, for being 29. Maybe Brandon Weeden will immediately jump into his prime at 29, 30 years old. Who knows? But I think he'll be the starting guy. Offensive line has to step up. Receiving corps is a little inexperienced. But other than that, I like Brandon Weeden a lot. His arm needs to, get a little bit stronger. His vision needs to be better. And he needs to move around in the pocket just a little bit more. He seems a little too stationary, and that's might be what's causing some of the sacks. So this is Roman of Pro Sports Analysis and Pro Football Exclusive. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is my top 32 quarterback series with number 27, Brandon Weeden. I hope you guys are looking forward to the next video. It's going to be great. Have a great day.